Disney removes Fox from the 20th Century and Searchlight logos. That's the headline on this Monday's MBE Movie News. And this one is coming in from Screen Rant. It's been dropping from a variety of sources, though. It's really all about Walt Disney Company dropping the illustrious and very memorable, thought-provoking intro, obviously, which features 20th Century Fox as a homogeneous whole. The Searchlight, the 20th Century branding, which is of course the more feature-length movie branding, it's been dropped. Disney are getting rid of it, and there's a whole variety of reasons why Disney have chosen to do this, but I think primarily it is to really distinguish their brand from Rupert Murdoch's Fox News, obviously corporation brand. He still holds the rights to the news wing of the Fox branding, and Disney are quite rightly wanting nothing to do with Rupert Murdoch and Fox News, which has a very unsavoury connection to, well, Donald Trump for one, and just right-wing propaganda for another. And I completely understand why Disney have chosen to go down this route. Of course, they merged and acquired Fox for a massive $71.3 billion last year, and therefore, having bleed out all of that money, I thought it was almost inevitable that Disney would do this, that they would want to remove all of the Fox branding from the main studios which they now own under the greater umbrella that is Disney Corporation. I thought it was inevitable, and although I'm kind of a cut up about it because I do love that incredible iconic opening, 21st Century Fox, it's been a part of my childhood. First and foremost, Star Wars, seeing that incredible intro with the fanfare. To not see that again ever is going to be, it's minorly upsetting. I'm not going to lose sleep over it, let's be honest, but yeah, it's a shame. The counter argument to this would be that it's just yet again more degradation of perhaps pop culture and just great movie imagery, for lack of a better word. It's 85 years of cinema that's really down the drain now with the Fox 20th Century title card gone. But you also have to remember, if you're a historian of film, that it wasn't always 20th Century Fox. It used to be just 20th Century, and then when Fox merged with 20th Century Pictures, they put Fox into the title card. It just used to be Searchlight, well, not Searchlight, but 20th Century Fox. So in a sense, we're going back to the future, for lack of a better term. So it's almost poetic in one way and slightly tragic in another, that we've had this popping up in front of the likes of Avatar, Titanic, Home Alone, Alien, Planets of the Apes, Star Wars, as I did say. And yeah, they're removing it all, and I think the first movie which is going to get this new treatment is going to be The Call of the Wild. It's going to be the first movie to feature the 20th Century Studios title card instead of Fox, and then downhill, an up-and-coming drama day, as they call it, obviously a drama comedy, starring Will Ferrell and Julia Louis-Dreyfus, will be the first Searchlight Pictures movie sans the Fox signature or signage. So yeah, I have no issues with this in the main. As I did say, it's degradation of historical sort of imagery, which is a shame for film fans. We're never going to get to see this amazing title card again, but likewise, I want to see Disney differentiating themselves from Rupert Murdoch's Fox wing, his media news wing, because it's toxic, as I did say. And they want to go off and do remakes and reboots of Fox classic movies like Planets of the Apes and a wide variety of other things, so it's no surprise to me to see that they have chosen to go down this route. So as I did say, slightly conflicted from a historical standpoint, degradation of imagery, it's a shame, but from a creative point of view and from Disney's side of things, want to go off and differentiate themselves from a little shit of an Australian who likes to dabble in all things and be a nefarious little I was about to swear there, but I'll refrain from it. It's a good decision. So yeah, it's a shame, but that's life. We shall move on that note though, because I have not got much more to add. It was a very short little headline topic, if you like. I thought that I'd speak about it because being a fan of film and having grown up and seen that incredible title card for so many years, to see that disappear into a puff of smoke, it's not something that you can ignore, really. But the next one is also something that I can't ignore. I'm certainly not conflicted on this news. It's all about one Taika Waititi being approached to make a new Star Wars film. This is coming in from Empire Online. I don't know who actually broke the story. It may very well have been Empire Online. No, it wasn't. It was a Hollywood Reporter, and they are reporting that Lucasfilm have indeed approached Taika about the prospects of developing a new film for them. They don't have any real details on what the meats and bones of this movie would be. It could be the one that Kevin Feige is working on producing, or it could indeed be the one that they got that writer-producer of Avatar to come in and adapt. I think it was a Knights of the Old Republic story. Whatever it is, Taika has been tapped to come on board and maybe direct a Star Wars movie. And look, I am absolutely on board for this. This excites me more than anything. I've professed my adoration of one Taika Waititi for many months and years now. I love the guy. I love his directing. He's stylistically just tailor-made for a movie like this. He's stylistically tailor-made in terms of bringing his unique blend of comedy in. Obviously, it was a risk bringing him in to do the MCU when the vein of Thor Ragnarok. Some people thought that his humour wouldn't blend well with the MCU. How wrong were they? The man came in. It's the best Thor movie ever made. One of the best MCU standalones in terms of just vibrancy in the cinematography, vibrancy in the colour palette as a whole, the blending of humour, the performances he got out of Chris Hemsworth and whatnot, obviously Mark Ruffalo and Tessa Thompson's Valkyrie, even goddamn Jeff Goldblum was in there as well. I thought it was a wonderful movie, and just as an aside to that, the man's back catalogue of movies in general have been absolutely fantastic. He has just a unique way of telling a story, and most recently JoJo Rabbit. I absolutely loved that movie. My favourite movie I've seen probably in the last 4, 5, 6 months. I just really enjoyed the tenderness from which he handled this potentially explosive story. If it wasn't handled correctly and the satire wasn't balanced right, then it would have been a disaster. But look, that has got nothing to do with Star Wars. Can this man come in and direct a Star Wars movie and make his humour blend in the world of Star Wars? Well, certainly he has already did it with The Mandalorian. He, of course, directed, I believe, the last 2 episodes of The Mandalorian. I just watched episode 8 of The Mandalorian very recently. I was very late in finishing that excellent first season of that excellent show, and I thought he'd done a marvellous job of directing that compartmentalised 30-minute duration of an episode. You know what I'm talking about. So would that blend over to a movie which is perhaps 2 hours 15 minutes long? I think it would. I think he's shown a grasp of understanding, or I think he has shown that he can grasp the universe of Star Wars. He can grasp the character. Incidentally, he voiced an IG-11 unit, and he was brilliant again in that. He's obviously did that with Cog in the MCU. He's just slipped seamlessly into the universe. And obviously Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni have been working with him. They see his directorial chops, they see his unique style blending into a nice homogeneous whole. And they've just seen the way the man operates behind the camera, and they have clearly been impressed, and they have put a good word into Lucasfilm, and Lucasfilm have subsequently went straight to him and asked him to go and direct one of these new Star Wars movies. Of course, we don't know what's coming next in the world of Star Wars, other than it may be the High Republic era, which is a halfway watering hole between the Old Republic and the Skywalker saga. So, will Taika be directing a movie in that era? Could it be a standalone centric story? Well, it's perhaps nothing to do with that at all. I don't know, but I know this. I want to see the guy on board, working with Disney again, really establishing himself as a top of the line director, if he's not already, and just fostering a great connection with the likes of Jon Favreau. I think the future of Star Wars and Lucasfilm is firmly in the hands of the genius of Jon Favreau now. I think Kevin Feige will pop in and out and maybe do some little things, but Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau working together, and who better to bring in as a recurring face in terms of directing movies in Taika Waititi, maybe even a Bryce Dallas Howard, and that Asian director whose name eludes me, who came in and did a superb episode as well. She's set to direct the Obi-Wan series. I'm on board for this, man. It excites me, it really does. The future of Star Wars is exciting me once again. But look, guys, I'll move on to the next topic. It's coming in from Digital Spy, and it's all about Quentin Tarantino potentially developing and or planning a very intriguing thing, spin-off series, if you like, from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He says, in short, I wonder if I can do that. And of course he's talking about Bounty Law, the very interesting little western serialised TV show which pops up in the middle of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, of course featuring Rick Dalton as Jake Cahill. I thoroughly enjoyed that part of the film. I really enjoyed Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, if I can speak, as a whole. I really enjoyed Rick Dalton as a whole in terms of a character, his forays into acting in the movie, and of course that primarily took him off to do spaghetti westerns in Italy for a period, but primarily into the role of Jake Cahill in Bounty Law. I would love to see this, man. There was talk that Quentin would be releasing an extended version of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood in a sort of mini-series form on Netflix, potentially, like what he did with The Hateful Eight. That's something I want to see as well. I want to see an extended version of this movie with more additional scenes and more time spent with, obviously, Cliff Booth and Rick Dalton. But I would really, really like to see him going down the route of doing a TV show, a western 60s, 50s style TV show, with maybe Leonardo DiCaprio coming in. Would he be interested? Is he too busy sunning himself on a yacht with some supermodel, saving people who are nearly drowning in the water? Or would he be up for it, once again, working with Quentin Tarantino? Of course, he worked with him on Django Unchained, he worked with him on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I hope he is on board for it. He says that he's written 5 episodes of Bounty Law, and that he will be directing them all if it is indeed going to happen. He was speaking with Deadline. He says the only thing that would hold him back is that it would take an hour, if only, a year and a half. But that he has introduced this thing into Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but it was not a part of it. He didn't consider it to be a part of the movie. And that he was really intrigued by the prospect of doing something very different like this, doing a TV show. And maybe this is the future for Quentin Tarantino as well. We of course know he has got plans to direct one more movie, and then he will go off to pastures new and explore new creative avenues, and perhaps one of these creative avenues is not going to be theatrical productions, but maybe TV shows. And look, we know this guy's got one of the most creative, zany minds in the whole of Hollywood. It's just crafted hit after hit after hit, set in his own universe from his own ideas. Of course, he says Once Upon a Time in Hollywood at the Golden Globes about it, that is, that he couldn't credit anyone else for writing because he came up with it all himself, and within that is this fantastic little show. I loved it. I loved the pacing of the show. I loved the actual theme, kind of that kind of a classic western theme, and I'm absolutely on board for it. I would just lap this up. 5 half-hour episodes. We've seen it before with Mandalorian. That really took us back to a bygone era where it was non-binge style consuming, if you like, where you had to wait a week and then you watched a 29 to 30 minute long episode. It was fantastic. I really enjoyed it, and I would love to be re-immersed into this world with this character and see Quentin try his hand at doing something distinctly different that's not a feature-length movie for a change, and maybe give us an insight into where the man's going in the future. But look, guys, I'm going to move on. I'm about 13 minutes in or something. I'm looking over at the little timer on Adobe Audition, and that tells me I have to move on and stop gibbering shite. And the next topic is going to be all about Don't Breathe 2 getting a director. Now, I don't know why they're saying it's getting a director. I know it's not the original director from the first movie. It is actually the writer, Rodo Sayeghes, I want to say his name is. He will be directing, and Stephen Lang, who of course put in an ominous, really foreboding, intimidating, what other adjective can I fling in there, performance as the blind man. He is going to be returning as well, and they say that this could potentially be released some point in the near future. I say at some point because he's of course working on a variety of other movies at the moment. I think he most recently worked on The Girl in the Spider's Web. I think that's what it was called. And yeah, I mean, this movie done very, very well. It had a budget of just under $10 million and it grossed over $157 million. I may have reviewed this back in my writing days, and I really enjoyed the first Don't Breathe. I thought it was a beautiful horror movie. It really changed the game, and it took us out of the usual boundaries you'd see in the subgenre of home invasion. It was just a wonderfully crafted movie. I loved the concept of not being able to make a sound, of this blind man being the perceived weak link in the story, but then flipping it on the invaders and becoming the real apex predator coming after these hunters. And again, you bring a guy like Stephen Lang in, and he's tailor-made for a role like that. He's just got that presence. He's like a Michael Keaton that we've seen in Spider-Man Homecoming as Vulture. He comes onto the screen and he just commands respect like that. So I think this is a really good idea. I'm not usually keen on taking great self-contained stories and expanding them out into sequels, unless it's absolutely necessary and the story has demanded it. It's been left in a cliffhanger. Of course, this movie was left on a slight cliffhanger with her escaping, and it being reported on the news that this blind man, I think he was titled officially, was still alive and well. So that left the prospect of him perhaps coming after the female protagonist. But according to this guy, whose name eludes me, Sayegues, I can't say his goddamn name because I'm not Latino, sadly. I wish I was. I'd have better hair. Apparently, according to him, this is not going to be a traditional sequel, which you'd normally see. He may change things up. It may have him pop into her house and torment her if she's want to come back. Or it may be that it's a completely different story, maybe a prequel following the forays that this guy got up to, the nefarious stuff that he was getting into. This was a very disturbed individual. Of course, I think there was something with him impregnating people and chaining them up in the basement at the end that was revealed. So he's a deeply disturbed psychotic chap, and he's been up to a whole host of shit, which I'm sure can be explored in some way in another movie. And I look, Stephen Lang's on board and the guy who wrote the first script's on board, then something I'm excited for. Of course, I will keep track of developments and whatnot as they come out, and maybe watch the trailer, and then I will take the critical response as well into regard, as I do for every movie, and then I will form an opinion on whether I will give my hard-earned cash to go and watch the movie. But look guys, I'm done speaking about that one. I'm going to move on to the final conjoined topic, and it's all about 1917, of course the movie with the greatest amount of momentum of all, perhaps in the Best Picture category at the 2020 Oscars, and it is coming in from Cinema Blend, and they are pondering the question of whether this movie is a lock to win the Best Picture, and they are forming this potential opinion on the fact that this Frontrunner has picked up the Best Picture honour at the Producers Guild of America Awards, which could be a contributing factor to it potentially picking up Best Picture at the Oscars 2020 as well. Now they do go on to say that there has been a couple of times when this hasn't happened. I think it was La La Land and some other movie won the Best Picture at the Producers Guild of America Awards, and then subsequently went on to not pick up the Oscar. It was The Big Shot, incidentally, which was a travesty. That was a fantastic movie as well. So many good performances in that, and I really enjoyed La La Land too. I thought that, I mean, Moonlight was good, but I don't know. I thought La La Land was hardly done to that year. I really enjoyed that movie. Brilliant story, great performance from Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling. But yeah, it wasn't to be. Hopefully, I take that back right away. I was about to say hopefully it will be the case this year that 1917 wins. But look, I have no real favourite in this. I really enjoyed Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which is still a dark horse. I loved The Irishman, which is very much in the running. And obviously Joker was my favourite movie of 2019. Of the ones that we've seen, we didn't get 1917, and we also didn't get JoJo Rabbit. We didn't get Parasite. We've still not got Parasite, and we've not seen The Lighthouse yet. It doesn't come out until late January this year. So I have no real distinct favourite in this. So I don't know is the answer. Is it a lock? I highly doubt it. With the competition we have in the category this year, I don't know if there's such a thing as a lock. Joker is going to have something to say about it, and as I did say, the aforementioned The Irishman and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and who could rule out Parasite as well, being such a monster hit, picking up awards left, right and centre, being a real box office behemoth in various different territories throughout the world. There's no reason why that movie couldn't come in and produce a shot and give Bong Joon-ho the prize of Best Picture. They do go on to say that there will be one last awards ceremony, a sort of precursor to the Oscars next Sunday, which is of course Directors Guild of America Awards. And I'll be keeping a close eye on that to see who wins, because Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is sneaking into that one this time, and I think Knives Out will be popping into this one too. So look, that'll be interesting. That'll give us an idea of where 1917 will be in terms of getting into the Oscars. Will it maintain its momentum? Lord knows. I really enjoyed it though, and look, if it wins, I'll be delighted. I've got no runner, I've got no favourite in this. I have no horse in this race, if you'd like. Look guys, I'll quickly talk about one final little thing about 1917 before I move on to box office. And it's all about the blackout moment being a real surprising element in this movie, and it's coming from the writer Kirsty Wilson-Cairns, who is Scottish incidentally, and she says that it originally wasn't planned to be in the script, but that they had put this in as a sort of way to screw with the audience, if you like, and perhaps have us think, is this next part of the movie, after George Mackay's Schofield wakes up a dreamlike state, is it really real? Is he because of course if you watch the movie, it is distinctly different. It's a different vibe completely. It almost feels like it could be hell on earth, like he is in some strange purgatory in between, death-like state. And I find this very interesting. This is something that I never even thought about when I was watching the movie. I just assumed that he had woke up after being shot in the helmet and went and get the mission done. But according to her, that she's suggesting that it may actually be defying convention, the convention that they set up, and that she really enjoyed the reasons for doing it, that everything you see after that point may not be real. So look, that's very interesting. Adds another layer onto this really well crafted movie. And I may have to go back and watch it again. I'm watching it again anyway on IMAX, because I have to see Roger Deakins' beautiful handiwork on IMAX, so I'll keep an eye out for that next time as well. That'll add another little layer in there, that he could have perhaps been dreaming it all, or he may have been dead, and what we see thereafter is a strange hell on earth purgatory state, another real and different reality, as Cairns rightly points out. She says she was proud of the script, and she's got every right to be proud of the script. It was a wonderful movie, and look, I ain't get much more to add to it. I spoke the hind legs off of it. Its Oscar chances and the dreamlike state involving one Schofield, played by the wonderful George Mackay. And on that note, I'm going to move on to box office and quickly try and fire through this in the 5 or 6 minutes that I have left to me. This is for the weekend of January 10 to the 12th, 2020. Coming in at number 1 is 1917. It's its first weekend. We're of course always a week behind on this because of Box Office Mojo. And this movie is opened with $9.8 million in the United Kingdom. It's a smashing start. Really, really decent start for a movie of this ilk. But look, the Brits in the UK audience love a good war movie, and certainly when it's slanted to the perspective of obviously our soldiers and whatnot. It's got $143.5 million grossing worldwide, and that is a magnificent performance for a movie which is just critically and commercially carving it up, essentially. But look guys, I'll move on to number 2 in a very short time. It's Little Women. It has grossed $130 million worldwide, and at another $2.6 million here, taking its total grossing in the United Kingdom to $17.2 million. It's up 143 theatres, showing in a momentous 801. It's dropped 22.6%, and it's doing very, very, very well indeed. I really enjoyed this movie, as I have said. So many great performances in there. Florence Pugh, Saoirse Ronan, Laura Dern. Just really, really interesting story. I hadn't seen the rest of these adaptations. This is the first one I've seen, and it's intrigued me. I may go back and watch the different variety of stories that we have based around this interesting concept, I want to say. But look, guys, I've not got much more to add to it. I've seen it, I enjoyed it, and it's doing very well. Coming in at number 3 is a movie which is also doing very well. It's Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, and it has now grossed another $2.38 million over the last weekend. Its fourth weekend dropped 58.5%, taking its total grossing here to a very decent $71.6 million. I said this movie would gross between $60 to $70 million, and it's topped $70 million, so I tip my hat to JJ, to obviously Kathleen Kennedy, reluctantly, for doing very, very well. It's grossed over $1 billion, finally, worldwide. It's not going to hit the Rogue One numbers, but it's okay. It's okay for a sequel trilogy which has been seeing diminishing returns anyway. It's been very conflicted and divisive in terms of what it's done to the fan base. So look, no one can complain about that. It's a success, and hats off to them. Hopefully they go off, do stories with Taika Waititi, with Kevin Feige, and we get something very interesting, not ladled with all that excess baggage or a monkey on the back in terms of legacy and 40 years of storytelling. But look, guys, number 4, The Gentleman. Second weekend, it's dropped one place, $2.2 million over its second weekend, 43.8% drop, $7.8 million overall. Over here, $18.4 million worldwide. Can't have a wide release. It's Guy Ritchie, it's Matthew McConaughey, it's Charlie Hunnam, Hugh Grant. Not seen it yet. I'm going to watch it this week because I have got a review to do this Friday, so really looking forward to it. Love Guy Ritchie when he does this British-centric mobster movie. And I've not got much more to add, so I'm going to move on to number 5, which is Jumanji: The Next Level. It has dropped 3 spots this weekend, grossing another $2.2 million, dropped 44.9%, down theatres, grossed $40.7 million overall in the United Kingdom, $711.8 million worldwide. What a performance again for Dwayne Johnson, Jack Black, Karen Gillan, Kevin Hart, and Sony Pictures. Well done. I have not seen the movie. You don't need my help. It is an absolute success, and we will see more of these goddamn Jumanji movies going forward. I'm absolutely sure about it. I will watch it, incidentally. I have to. I feel compelled, being a Dwayne Johnson fan. I'm late to the party, but I like to have theatres to myself anyway. None of that farting and obnoxious behaviour, so it's all good. I'll move on though, guys, to number 6. It's JoJo Rabbit. Dropped 1 spot from its performance last weekend. It's grossed another $1.34 million. Dropped a disappointing 57.5% the second weekend. It's grossed just $5.6 million. It's up 7 theatres. $43.8 million overall. It don't have budgetary information, but that is really disappointing for a movie which I highly urge everybody to go and watch, because it is so tender, it's so nuanced, and it's filled to the brim with dark comedy and a whole variety of other different things going on under the surface. Taika's he's a magician. He has a mastery over a camera like few in his generation, and it's really sad to see it's not doing that well, but it probably didn't have a big budget, so hopefully it's made a profit. And on that note, guys, I will move on. I have did my bit, I've reviewed it, and I enjoyed it. But coming in at number 7 is Frozen 2, and it has grossed another $1 million over its 8th weekend, dropped 52.8%, $66.5 million overall in the United Kingdom, and $1.4 billion worldwide. $1.4 billion, the most successful animated movie of all time. It's a sequel. Apparently it's a sequel which isn't as good as the first one, but such is the power of Disney's, obviously, promotion and just the mastery they seem to have over many demographics. It just keeps raking the money in, man. Hats off to it. I ain't going to go and see it at this stage, but I'll still catch it when it comes on digital release, so it's all good. I'm not the primary demographic anyway. And on that note, I'm going to move on to number 7, which is Spies in Disguise. It's another Disney release. It's dropped 40.1% in its third weekend, $891,000, $6.8 million overall, which is crazy. This is a middling, relatively unknown animated movie. Looks like an Incredibles rip-off. I know it stars Will Smith and Tom Holland, but Jesus Christ, $133.9 million overall in the world. Jesus Christ, Disney. You have a monopoly over the box office. No one can get an arm in or a leg in anywhere, really. You can't swing a cat for Disney movies. I'm not complaining, no. I don't care. I don't have a horse in this fight. Doesn't even make sense. But look, guys, I'll move on to number 9. I'm terrible at sayings. Which is Cats. Grossed another $500,000 over its fourth weekend. 58.4% drop. It's clinging on to the top 10 for dear life, like Theresa May was to Power this time last year. Sadly, she hung around and gave a buffoon Power afterwards, so it wasn't all good. $14.5 million overall in the United Kingdom. Down 195 theatres. It's on its way out. It has grossed $60 million worldwide. $95 million budget. I went to see it. It was an absolute abomination. And it's a flippity floppity flop. And I'm moving on to number 10. I've got no much more to say about it. Knives Out is rounding out the box office for this weekend. $447,000 over its 7th weekend. 27.4% drop. Down 59 theatres. It's actually down more theatres. I checked BFI, they are wrong. Box Office Mojo. $15.8 million overall in the United Kingdom, taking its total grossing worldwide to $277.9 million. $40 million budget. Absolute success for Rian Johnson. Absolute success for Lionsgate. Really enjoyed the movie. One of my favourite of last year. So many good performances in there. Christopher Plummer, so reliable, even at his old age. Done a great job as the sort of tycoon writing billionaire. You have Chris Evans in there, Michael Shannon. I always get them in mixed up. I don't know why. They look nothing alike. Toni Collette's in there. Just brilliant little film. And yeah, fully deserving of its grossings. But look, guys, I am done with the box office segment of the show, and I am also done with today's MBE movie news as a whole. What did you make of the headlines I spoke about on the show today? What do you make of Disney removing the Fox signage from the 20th Century Fox title card? Do you give a shit? Is it something you care about? Or is it degradation of history? Film history, if you'd like. As I kept repeating about 20 times. What do you make about Taika Waititi potentially directing a Star Wars movie? Quentin Tarantino doing Bounty Law TV shows? What do you make about anything I spoke about today in general? I'm not going to go through every goddamn topic. If you've got anything to say at all, you can comment below and let me know what your thoughts are. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it. You can subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the content, and if you do, then you will see me tomorrow again for MBE Heroes.